a volunteer lifesaver has commandeered a lifeguard board and single-handedly taken on a mass rescue. Bondi Beach. It's the birthplace of surf lifesaving, starting in 1906 with the establishment of the Bondi Surf Club.
Surf lifesavers are part of the furniture when it comes to Australian beach culture. They come down on the weekends, they set up their patrols and they observe the flags and back us up where we need them. They're volunteers at the end of the day, and anyone who volunteers their time to help someone else is absolute legend in my eyes.
There's a rescue down the south end and me and Yatesy started responding to it.
As we got there, one of the clubbies was running in as well, and I said to Troy, get out there first, mate.
It kind of wasn't just about getting there before him, it was a serious incident. I had to get there as quick as I could.
The lifesaver is Bondi Surf Club veteran Nick Nesville.
I got there, and just as I got there, wow, boom. There's some other guy sitting on a blue board, and it was Troy.
I was trying to catch up to him. I kind of got close, but he just got me at the end.
I think I just got him. So maybe that gives me Christmas Day bragging rights this year.
Thanks should also go to the member of the public who came to the man's aid.
Everybody should leave their egos, you know, whether it's in the change room or in the surf club, and just go out and get the job done on the day. So it doesn't really matter who does the job.
You know, we could have fun with Troy about getting there second and all that kind of stuff, but in the long run, the guy didn't drown.
The fella was pretty wiped out, though. He'd taken a bit of water on. I mean, he was seconds from going under, like disappearing.
Here's your attention, swimmers.
No, you're going to have to go in.
We've got a board coming to help you now. Stay afloat, and if you can, come back to waist depth, water.
Tom is quickly overwhelmed.
I had probably 3 or 4 on the front of my board, followed by a number of other people out in the water who were able to help.
The temptation is to run in, but Chris wisely manages the situation from shore.
We had to ask the clubbies to help us out.
Just getting another 3 clubbies in the board.
There would have been 10 boards at least, you know. We had guys, just surf club guys who were training, helping us out.
Tom prioritises the worst swimmers.
Straight to those guys there, please. Those 3 there. Over to your right.
Eventually, more firepower is needed.
Tom's out there, mate. I think he's calling you in.
With no board around, I had to grab a Lifesavers board, so I grabbed that and went on out.
Yeah, Chris is on a clubby board.
Tom risks being overwhelmed by panicked swimmers.
Can you let go, please? Chris, can you take this guy?
Lifeguards and volunteer surf club members work side by side to stabilise the situation.
Copy. The boys have got it under control down there now. They just all sort of went in at once.
Just when it feels like the situation is in hand, lifeguards are alerted to a new emergency.
Are you putting is that a shark alarm?
Jake, I just heard the shark alarm go.
Yeah. What are you guys doing down there?
In extreme and very rare circumstances, the shark alarm will be used to clear swimmers from the water.
We know that as trained lifeguards, that means mass rescue, but the general public think it's a shark. None of them know it's a mass rescue.
The alarm has been sounded by volunteer lifesavers. The result is what matters, and a combined effort by lifeguards and volunteers has saved dozens of lives. On weekends, Bondi's lifeguards get much-needed support from volunteer lifesavers.
He was swimming, the wave hit him, and then he landed, basically hit the floor.
The volunteer lifesavers. These guys do an amazing job. I'm really proud of them.
1, 2, 3, lift.
In the south corner, 2 swimmers are held up by a volunteer lifesaver. The man is covered in a generous layer of sunscreen.
Could not, for the life of him, get him on my board. So slippery. I knew the boys were watching on the beach, and I panicked.
As a paid professional lifeguard, it's Luke's responsibility to get the patient to shore.
Saw the clubbies drive by in a rubber ducky and, you know, passed him on.
Oh, Daddy.
That's so heavy, mate.
He's given in, he gave him to the IRB.
As soon as I've done that, I realised I'd made a pretty big mistake.
So he's going to get straight for that.
What the hell? Tell him when he hits the beach, he has to speak to the boss. First rule of Lifeguard Club, never hand a patient over to anyone, especially the poor volunteer that's donating his time.
He's walking back.
Yeah, it was harsh, but probably deserving. I made a mistake and it's a pretty fair punishment, I think.
I'd head down there. The clubbies are out there.
A clubbie was waving for help and he had 2 people on his board in trouble.
Loaded with 2 people, the Lifesaver is dangerously close to the reef.
You've got a lot of swell pushing in there against the rocks, and obviously the rip runs around the back of the iceberg, so you kind of get trapped between rocks and waves, and it can be really tricky.
Yeah, also, Harrison, just north of the clubbies, there's one bloke. He might need a hand as well.
Any delays could leave the Volunteer Lifesaver vulnerable to the reef.
I have to prioritise who's drowning and who can keep themselves afloat for a bit longer.
Reidy, where are you at, mate? Harrison's doing a rescue. I've got a clubbie doing a double rescue behind the reef. Start heading down there.
I went to the first guy who I thought was in more need of assistance.
The Volunteer Lifesaver is being pulled towards the reef.
The clubbie cannot even nearly get these 3 blokes in.
But the man who claims to be okay is showing signs that he's far from it.
Huts can't get this bloke in.
With one of the buggies out of action, Reidy has 200 metres to cover on foot.
Do I have a second board down here?
I can see one right down south.
I think, yeah, there's still a south board down there. Copy.
Harrison is torn between patients.
The clubbie had 2 patients. This other guy had no one with him. That's where I became unstuck. So I knew I had to get him in as soon as I could because I need to go back out and grab these other guys.
Managing 2 patients in tricky conditions has been gruelling work for the Volunteer Lifesaver.
He would have been on that reef getting pounded by waves for at least 10 minutes now.
See good? Come here. Go take this board. Good work, mate, doing well.
The Lifesaver is exhausted, but Harrison can only take 1 patient at a time. Tevin is on a working holiday from Canada. After 20 minutes stuck in the south corner, he's short of breath.
Well, shook up, you always hear about people getting scared. I was like, it's nothing. When you're actually out there, it's crazy. I'm a smoker too, so that doesn't help.
Despite a delay, Harrison eventually made the right decision. Without the help of lifesavers and lifeguards, 3 people could have died.
We got a bit caught short there, that's for sure. The volunteers, this first patrol, they did an unreal effort holding them up. Everyone worked well there, you know, the volunteers and us lifeguards worked well as a team.
While the lifeguards are paid professionals, sometimes it's the clubbies who steal the limelight.
Someone out there now. It's out in the water with 3.
Oh, yeah.
Assistance?
Yeah.
There's a clubbie with 3 guys in front of the 3rd ramp here. I'm going to have to jump in.
Spotting someone in trouble, a volunteer lifesaver has commandeered a lifeguard board and single-handedly taken on a mass rescue.
We've got 1 bodyboard between them. starting to think that, you know, 3 people, it's hard to take control of. He's probably trying to, you know, look after all of them, and you can lose one quite easily. It was terrible, yeah. They could not swim a single stroke.
Get rid of this bodyboard.
It was a little girl, and she was very, very frightened.
Come here.
At least 2 of the people can be offloaded onto Ryan's board, but then a large wave looms up.
You're trying to keep eyes on them while they're watching for every wave that rolls through. Because if they go under, you won't know where they've gone. With kids, yeah, it starts to get a lot more serious to me because they can't help themselves.
Yeah, boys, the clubbie lost his board, so now it's Ryan with 3 patients.
The woman, named Sunset, and her daughter Moon live in Australia. The second girl is a cousin visiting from Asia.
It was such a stressful moment that the little girl was, crying, and you know, she thought she was going to drown. Box paddled out, and you don't get box out much for rescues anymore these days.
But once again, it's a clubbie who beats lifeguards to the punch.
Clubbies are great, you know, we really need their help. They assist us a lot throughout the summer. A lot of the times there, we couldn't do without them.
The family are still coming to terms with what just happened.
We're all having fun, but all of a sudden it's just, you know, happened. Yeah. Ah. Oh my God.